Welcome back to Unlocking Your More podcast with Janna Holterman. Today we're going to be talking about why what you're doing, your strategy, isn't actually the problem, and how I learned this the hardest of possible ways. So, I don't know, if you've been here for a long time, you probably do know. But so I have always, and I mean always, felt like I was meant to do something more, like bigger. I just like felt a draw to entrepreneurial avenues. And despite that, I chose to go to nursing school because I just like clicked with the campus, and I really don't regret my decision to go to nursing school. Like, I feel like that was ultimately like part of my journey, part of my path. But it literally was like I graduated and started working as a nurse in 2018, the beginning of like pretty early in 2018, and then I like by the end of the year into the 2019 I was already like, okay, so like what's next? Where are we gonna go? And I got like into the fitness route, and it was so interesting because I started doing like Beachbody, which is like, like network marketing, fitness stuff. But I am eternally grateful because that was like my gateway drug to understanding my brain, understanding emotions, and there was so many more layers that would come after that. But that was like the first time that I was ever introduced to any sort of like personal development world in the capacity that like it was in my capability to create my own life experience, and that is huge. And so it was probably like a year that I like did that. I honestly still to this day do Beachbody workouts. They're great, love them. But like I was like actually like being like, oh, I could build a business. And I think this was just to really like, when I look back at it, show me what was possible and to get more comfortable with this idea of investing in my own development work and kind of that development. So that stirred me into the life coaching realm. So I went from Beachbody into the life coaching world and started working with a life coach. That opened up, wow, I can truly change the way that I perceive my reality, which changes how I feel about my reality, which changes the way that I'm actually showing up and the results that I'm creating. So it was very much like mindset, cognitive behavioral almost style ways of thinking, and I think that was like hugely beneficial and kind of met me where I was at. And I continued on that way, developing my own ways of doing things as I would like to say, like fucking around and finding out in my nursing career, in the way that I was thinking, the way that I was feeling, how I was handling things, because like that led right into 2020 COVID situations, right? Like the world hit the fan, things were falling apart, nursing was literally a war zone. And so the tools that I had learned up until that point prepared me to go through what I went through. All right, so at that point, I was like, okay, well, nursing sucks. Like, I don't know that I want to do this. Like, truly had like nightmare level shifts as a nurse during that time period. And I started thinking, like, okay, like, I really need to hone in on me stepping into a more entrepreneurial career and building a business. And so that was kind of where I was like, okay, like I could do this on my own. Like I can do this. And I was doing my life coach training with that in mind. So that took, I think, like about a year to do that. And I had started working with like one or two paying clients at that point who were nurses who were also going through their own burnout experiences, whatnot. But this is kind of where I was like really convinced that if I had the right strategy, if I had the right tools or the right person teaching me, and I did what they did, I could create something like they created. And this was introduced a little bit with the Beachbody stuff of just do, X, Y, and Z, and you'll create massive results. And then again, in the life coaching world, I had this like, okay, well, if I hire a business coach and I do what they tell me, I'm going to create a massively successful business. You know what I did? I spent thousands, tens of thousands on multiple business coaches over 2020 through like 2023. Lots. I invested in myself over and over and over again. And I have, even to this day, folders full of strategy on my computer. And I activated and did a lot of those strategies. And some of them created small amounts of results, but if they weren't sustainable, I felt more drained and exhausted. I felt more burnout. It didn't align with me working 12 plus hour shifts as a nurse and then trying to create what I was supposed to create and post all the things I was supposed to post and, reach out to the people I was supposed to reach out. It felt like such a chore and it was so difficult. And this is the same thing that happens to so many people. Even if you're not interested in the entrepreneurial route, it's like, okay, you want to get fit, like do this 87-step process and then you're going to be fit. Okay, well, I did that 87-step process and I actually ended up gaining weight. And I literally was talking to my friend recently about this, where she kind of signed up for this personal trainer and it turned into like a whole CrossFit situation because she wanted to get stronger. Her goal was to get more toned muscle, right? What she ended up with was absolute exhaustion, headaches, and more inflammation and bloating than she'd had in years because she was doing more than her body really had the capacity to handle. So she could do the workout, yeah, but then the rest of the day she's completely zombified, exhausted, feeling like just so depleted. She was getting headaches, her body was bloating, her body was feeling just tired and inflamed all the time. Why didn't the strategy work? The strategy worked for the personal trainer who was like 6-pack abs, super freaking like muscular toned body that she wanted. The reason that it didn't work for her, the reason that paying tens of thousands of dollars to have business coaches didn't work for me is that I never considered my brain. I never considered my emotions. I never considered my emotions, my brain, and my nervous system as part of the equation. I was trying to fit myself into a box that I was not designed to fit in. So all it did was cause me to create a deeper rooted belief system that it doesn't matter what I do, it's not going to make a difference anyway. Clearly, I'm not working hard enough and I'm not capable of creating the results that I want to live. And how great are those belief systems, right? Like, how does that show up? Because then I kind of was in the hardest phase of my life when my husband passed away. Like, I was deeply devastated and I took time off from focusing on building a business, all of this stuff. I was really pouring into myself, but I still had these beliefs that what I do doesn't make a difference. What I do doesn't matter. And those didn't cross and just stop with the things like my focus in the entrepreneurial things. They crossed over into other areas of my life, which created these whole ripple effects of me deeply kind of like a self-abandoning myself and beating the crap out of myself that what I was doing was not enough. And I don't tell you this to feel bad for me. I don't tell you this so you're like, well, this fucking sucks. I'm telling you this so that you can maybe even see a twitch of this or your own version of this in your own life. And I'm also telling you this because there is a way out of this and there is a path to changing this. And it doesn't come from paying tens of thousands of dollars for a strategy or a action or a program that's just going to tell you what you need to do, because that is only going to work for a very small amount of people whose brains, nervous systems, and emotions are completely aligned with the person who's teaching it. And what got them there is not going to be what got you there. And I had to learn this the hard way, but I learned so fucking much, not from strategy, but about myself in the way that I work and the way that I handled these situations, and also in realizing that I thought that there was a outside answer to my problems, right? And here's the thing. You cannot solve an inside problem or create something that you are made to create, that feeling inside of you that you're like, I know I'm made for something bigger than what I'm already creating. I know that I'm made for more. That cannot be created from somebody else's actions. That has to be created from within. And we have to understand ourselves more deeply than ever before while learning about our emotions, processing emotions, and learning and working with our nervous systems in order to create that in a sustainable way. And that is honestly why I don't ever want to just teach a one-size-fits-all. In what I teach, whether it be in my mentorship program, whether it be in my intuition fundamentals course, or in my one-on-one containers, it is still customizable. It is still about you understanding you so that you can figure out the path that is designed for you. Never do I want you to just be like, well, this is what she did to overcome this, so therefore I should do that. We're all different. We have different DNA structures, but also the perceptions that we have based on the way that we were raised, right? Most of our belief systems were created between the age of 0 and 7. So the sponge that we were at that time, just bringing in all of the information from our parents, our teachers, our friends, the movies, the shows, all these things that we were perceiving at that time created the belief systems that we have now. And my childhood doesn't look the same as your childhood. And so the perceptions and the belief systems that I have are going to be different than yours. And yes, there's a lot of overlap. And so we can find like universal matches that do tend to work. Hey, when you have this belief system that what you're not doing is not good enough, you can reprogram it with this. But we have to figure out where our perceptions lay. Where are our belief systems actually at? Because if I'm taking strategy and action, but I have those belief systems that it doesn't matter, it doesn't make a difference anyway, what I do is never good enough, you aren't going to see the results, no matter how hard you work. No matter how hard you work, you're not going to see the results that you want. Because number one, we are energetic beings. Everything is energy, and we're really good at sensing other people's energy. And so if you were coming to buy from me and I have the belief system that nothing I do is ever good enough, that it doesn't matter anyway, right? You're gonna pick, you're like, you know what? There's something about this, like I just don't see the value. I just don't think that it's worth it. Like I could probably go somewhere else and they're going to have more value because I am projecting what I perceive about myself. And other people pick up on that. Thinking like skeezy car salesman energy, where's that level of desperation? Yeah, people notice, right? So if we don't shift the way that our brain thinks, we're not going to be able to figure out the emotions that are causing us to act in particular ways, right? Because if we have that belief that nothing I ever do is good enough, I'm going to beat the crap out of myself. And then my particular habit would be to try to overcompensate for that by just working harder, but working harder from a place of desperation to try to prove that I am good enough, that I do work hard enough, that I can create the results that I want, because if I get the results, then people are going to see that I have those results and they're going to think better of me, and that's going to help me validate me. Does it work? The fuck no. It does not. It does not work. But I sure tried. And I tried for a couple of years. And I paid thousands of dollars to try. So you can learn from me that it's not going to work. And if you look back at your life, I'm sure you've had plenty of your own examples of how that is played out in your own ways. And maybe it's similar to mine, maybe it's not, but you can kind of see how if we don't shift our belief and the way that our brain sees things, the way that it kind of works is we have a particular thought, and then we have a sensation that happens in our body, and then our brain kind of goes and processes that sensation and labels it. So our brain thinks a thought, that sensation in our body, that electrical signal that happens in our body is actually an emotion. And depending on where the emotion kind of lands in the scale, the spectrum of emotions, it's going to cause a particular nervous system response, because our sensations are all connected in with our nervous system. And if you're having a thought that creates a particular like pit in your stomach, like oh shit kind of sensation, your nervous system's like whoa, red, the red light, the alarm's going off, like okay, what is happening? Why are we having a pit in our stomach? Something is clearly wrong. I need to figure out what is wrong. And then your brain is going to be like, oh my god, something is wrong. We just had the sensation that something is wrong. Okay, something is wrong. What could it be? And now it's scanning an environment to be like, okay, like, is there a danger? Am I gonna die at any moment? Am I gonna get rejected? What is happening? Like, our brains just start freaking out because we had an emotional read in our nervous system that was at a point of like, this is concerning, and then our fight flight system got activated. And now our brains are designed to prove themselves right. Our brain doesn't want to be wrong. So if your nervous system, your fight flight response is activated, now your brain is going to be scanning its environment at this like heightened level, ninja sense, trying to find evidence for why we felt that way and trying to prove it right? Like, your brain is ready. Like, are we gonna run? Are we gonna fight? Like, what are we doing here? But I am ready. Like that feisty little chihuahua, like ready to go bite some ankles. And that is the thing that happens over and over and over again. Is that the energy that we want to stay in? Is that a productive energy? Is that an energy that's like, yeah, I feel good right now? No, that energy feels like trash. It is absolutely exhausting and draining for our nervous system. And we continue to get in that cycle, that habit over and over and over again. And then we expect to create results when we're feeling that way. And here's the reality, the science of what happens when we go into fight flight. Your frontal brain, your frontal cortex, that part of your brain that's like actually doing the legworks of having logical thought, yeah, it pretty much shuts down. So your brainstem is really active. Your muscle fibers, your lungs, your heart are getting all of the blood flow. They're ready to act, but you're not being able to logically think because your frontal cortex ain't getting blood flow. So are we going to be able to create the results that we want when we can't even logically think? No. It's also probably when you're like, I don't even know why I acted that way. Like, I just turned into a feral bitch. Like, why did I act that way? Oh yeah, because you went into fight flight, which means that your frontal brain just shut off and you no longer had the capacity to choose the way that you wanted to respond. So how do we pause this? Number one, we have to recognize that fight flight is a vital part of our existence as a human. And when we were living hunter-gatherer caveman times, it was really vital, because what if there is a bear around the corner? We want to be able to run for our lives. What if we're in a tribe and somebody doesn't like us and we get kicked out of the tribe? That is fucking safe, right? Like, we're alone in the wilderness. Like, we could literally die. But our brains and our nervous systems and our emotions have not evolved past that. So the text message that you got, the social media post, the being visible, all of these things, your brain is still acting as if there's that bear or that fear of rejection, of getting kicked out of the tribe, right? Our brains haven't evolved. So we have to learn how to create safety in our nervous system. We can learn how to reprogram those brain thoughts that what you do is not good enough or it's not going to matter anyway. because I've done it. I have fully shifted those beliefs, and I have so much self-trust that I never had before. I literally, so with my intuition, I always test things at like a scientific level of accuracy because I truly want to know, right? Like, yes, something could be good for me, but how good is it for me? Is it only a little bit good for me? Is a lot of good for me? So I do everything with percentages. So 0 being the worst, 100 being the best kind of thing is the general consensus. I have different kind of filters and things that I put on it. And when I kind of went down this rabbit hole last year of just like being really hard on myself and truly getting to the root of this so that I could reprogram my brain, I tested intuitively like 0 to 100 being the most hard on myself. Like, how hard on myself am I on an average over like the last 4 weeks or whatever? And I was like literally high 90s being hard on myself. I could not consciously comprehend that for a little bit. And then I started to recognize it and I started to see it. And I was like, oh shit, like I am a complete raging bitch to myself, like psycho bitch level, so toxic to myself. And no wonder why I wasn't necessarily feeling the way that I wanted to feel. I wasn't creating the results that I wanted to create. Like, I really wasn't feeling the way that I wanted to feel because I was beating the absolute ever-loving shit out of myself on a constant basis. And so that was kind of like a huge moment of like, oh, this is where the work is for me in this next chapter of my life. And I dove in so deep, and I have literally reprogrammed my brain, from the ground up, and really figured out all these subconscious belief systems. And there's still more. Like, our brains have many layers like an onion, and we kind of have to peel them back. But the other day I was just like, I wonder where I'm at. Like 0 to 100 being the most hard on myself on average over the last 4 weeks, like where am I at? And it's like 23% now. Like, I literally went from being like high 90s hard on myself to 23% in probably about 6 months. And this is to say, this work is not instantaneous like Amazon delivery results. This is showing up on a daily or regular basis to figure out, what is my brain perceiving? What is my brain making this situation mean? Is that even true? Is that what I want to believe? How do I break this down? And proving it wrong is such a powerful tool. Even just if you take that alone of like, what my brain suggests is not facts. Like, how do I take that and break it apart and actually look and see, like, is this even true? Like, do I want to believe that? And most of the time there's so many holes in this like thinking that it's not logical, and we can be like, yeah, that's honestly completely bullshit. Like, but we had this belief system since we were a kid, right? So it was a child perceiving a situation and making it mean something, and then that belief system has gotten carried on. So a 3-year-old doesn't have the understanding of a situation that we do as an adult. So that 3-year-old perceives something, and then that's just like what your brain ran with. So we can start to unpile that, and proving it wrong is the great way to start, of just like, hey, I noticed this thought. Is that even true? Like, well, what does that mean? Why does it mean that way? Like, can we go down the rabbit hole until we get to that, like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Like, what am I going to do with this information? And that honestly is so effective at reprogramming your brain. The huge component that is truly missed is emotions. Emotions are literally like reminder tabs, like reminder notifications in your phone. If we have a situation that has an emotion that goes along with it, and we did not recognize and process that emotion, which, let's take a moment to realize and recognize that people really aren't taught how to feel emotions, right? Like, we're not taught. Like, that is not something that most parents have the emotional intelligence to be able to teach. You're not learning it in school. Like, you're not taught how to process emotions. So most of us have gone through our whole lives with shoving the emotion aside and ignoring it. But emotions will stay in your body until they are heard. So it's like having reminder tabs on your phone. over and over and over again, every single day, every single moment throughout the day, getting a notification, like your phone's beeping, light screen lighting up, like constantly harassing you all damn day. That is what emotions do when they are stuck in our body. They are literally bringing you back to the emotional experiences of those moments. And then you feel the emotional experience of those moments. And then your brain is like, why am I feeling disappointment right now? Okay, let me scan my environment and find a thing to feel disappointed about. Oh, there it is. Well, I really wanted to go get a coffee, but then I didn't get to do that because this person called, and your brain's going to find a reason to feel that way. And most of the time it's all these negative emotions that we don't want to feel. So you ever wonder why you're feeling really great, and then all of a sudden you feel like absolute trash. You're like, I don't even know why I feel like this, but yeah, because the reminder notification on your phone just popped up to tell you to be like, oh, by the way, you're kind of sad right now. This is the way that emotions work. They are stuck. They are trapped in our body, and we will do things that will trigger that trapped emotion to have a little flag of notice me. Did you want to feel anxious right now? Because guess what? You're going to feel anxious, right? So we can learn how to process emotions, and that means that we start to delete the reminder tags. We start to remove the emotions that are trapped in our bodies. And again, this is something that takes time. But when we start to remove those emotions and release them from our bodies, we stop getting all of those random reminders throughout the day of just like, oh yeah, remember that you weren't good enough? Yeah, I remember it. Here's some evidence to support it. That goes away. And it is so beautiful going through the day without feeling like trash 97 times and then having to work your way through it or shove it down and push it away. So we change the way that our brain thinks. We process our emotions, which stops all those reminder tags from happening. And as we do that, we need to also incorporate our nervous systems. How do we make our nervous systems feel safe going from where we are now to going to where we want to be? And a lot of it is getting really present and really in the moment of, okay, hey, my brain feels unsafe when I'm a little bit vulnerable. Okay, well, let me be vulnerable, and then I'm just gonna fucking sit with it. First couple of times, panic, right? We're like, oh, this is uncomfortable, this is really sketchy, I should not be here, I should be anywhere but here, let me go get some chocolate, let me go get something to get rid of this feeling. But then you keep doing it, and then your nervous system's like, oh, well, there wasn't actually a bear. I didn't actually get rejected from the tribe. Maybe this is okay. Maybe I am safe. And we keep doing that, and it shows, and it literally proves, because our brains love evidence. It proves to our brains, hey, yeah, we are safe. Things are actually Gucci. We're pretty good. Maybe I actually like being a little bit vulnerable. Maybe I love that I got to connect more deeply with somebody because I chose to be vulnerable. Oh, this is good. Then we feel safe doing that thing, right? We had to put ourselves out there a little bit and then we had to sit with it. But if we never sit with it, we just keep pushing past it, your brain is going to get to the point where it's snapped. It's like an elastic band that you stretch out and stretch out and stretch out. At a certain point, it's gonna want to snap back to where it's more comfortable versus the stretched out elastic band. The strength of the elastic's gonna come in and it's gonna snap back. That's the same thing that's gonna happen to our nervous systems. If we do not create safety in our nervous systems, if we do not create opportunities to feel calm and grounded in our nervous systems with where we're at, we're going to snap back to our old ways of being. And when our nervous system snaps back to its old way of being, it starts activating the old ways of thinking. It starts activating all those old emotions. We backslide, we fall off the wagon because we didn't consider our nervous systems. Our nervous systems have to have the support to feel safe, to feel regulated in order to create sustainable results that actually create results and feel good to you. All right. I hope that was helpful. I know that was a lot. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, my membership right now, Made for More, is diving into neuroscience from a perspective of helping you understand your brain, the way that it works, getting those sneaky thoughts that are coming up, noticing them, and being able to work with your brain so that you can start creating the life that you know that you are made for, making that made for more. So you feel the way that you want to do, that you have the life, the career, all of the things that you want, so you can feel truly proud and feel fulfilled in what you are creating. So if you want to access that and really dive into this neuroscience topic a little bit more, you can get a free 3-day trial right now for the membership, and then as followed by a $35 month fee.